4 years ago, I remember my friend coming up to me with excitement, asking the experience of a lifetime. I was at first very confused and at the same time very excited. He furthermore talked about an exhibit that is dedicated to expressing emotions, and he said to me the exact words: "Do you want to experience what blind people see?" When I was there, I saw Mr. Yilmaz, who works as a guide in the exhibit, and told us what type of things we would see. I was really horrified when he said we were going to be in a completely dark room and using canes and doing tasks such as using transportation, going to a grocery shop, drinking and buying coffee, crossing the bridge and street and such. I was completely shocked because I thought we were just standing still in the dark. My friend and I got in the room with a bunch of other people too. It was completely darkness. For a few minutes, we were just walking straight and trying to adapt to the atmosphere. The strangers we went in became the closest to me in the dark because we were holding our hands, pulling each other towards because we thought we were falling. I cannot explain the darkness in there. It's not like to turning the lights off and staying in the dark. It's a type of darkness that you know we cannot turn the light back on. I even remember seeing a camera that had a small tiny red dot on it, which made me smile because I saw a different color than black, and wondered if that light can help me through these dark tunnels. A fascinating thing that I found was in the dark, the roles were reversed. We lost our sight and our guides become sighted. For example, when I was going out on my road and didn't know where I was going, they were warning me that there was a wall in front of me. They literally became my eyes in the dark. And that experience right there was worth of sweating, worrying, and distress. Losing my sight for 2 hours gave me the worst pain, and I never felt so desperate. I even remember the time the exhibit was ending, and a guy told us that now you're going to see the light, but we can't see that, and said that our exhibit and our journey are still going on, but yours is finished. And the guy said it's officially your turn to be the eyes and the light of our dark room. So, I want to be the part of the light and I wanted to brighten the room with awareness while also encouraging you to help and give more information about how to assist visually impaired people. First of all, how to respectfully approach a blind person in a helpful way. I watched a documentary about James Brown, who explores the experience of blindness for 2 weeks in Russia. The most exciting part was for me the experience James had with the people in the streets. Some were confused as they had never seen any blind person in their lives. Some asked if he needed help and guided him wherever he wanted to go. Some were looking at him and seeing his struggle crossing the road and didn't want to help. People who were trying to help James although made him uncomfortable because people would drag or hold on his shoulder, but he on the other hand doesn't like that and says please get off me. He would prefer people to ask him before start touching him, which makes him uncomfortable and angry. And this type of behavior also came to the table when I interviewed Mr. Yilmaz, who works in the exhibition called Dialogue in the Dark in Turkey, said, people are so cruel because they see the desperation in you. When they want to help you, they feel like they can control you. They starting holding your arm and just dragging, and this is why we don't like to get help, which is why we feel isolated from everyone. What Mr. Yilmaz told me had a significant impact on me that pushed me to explore more about the experience of blind people and the type of isolation that he mentioned in Turkey. In our interview, he talked about the importance of family and education, and most importantly, how society views disabled people. Mr. Yilmaz indicated that families in Turkey usually are in the situation of hiding their disabled children from society. He furthermore explains what our neighbors or friends would say to them if they find out their loved one is disabled. For him, education was all above of everything, because he states that if a family gets an education of where to begin, that disabled person will continue the life that he wants to. But if a family traps him in a room to stay there 24/7, the person will disconnect from the world, which he or she will feel lonely and feel isolated. After learning about society's view and the significance of education that Mr. Yilmaz emphasized, I started getting interested in researching the disability rights in Turkey. Approximately 8.5 million people with disability live in Turkey, which means 30% of the population at the time according to a 2002 government survey. Most of them are having trouble in terms of justice, accessibility, and job opportunities. Most jobs are not suited to their skills. Plus, not only finding a job struggle for them, but also the insurance policies in Turkey for disabled people make everything complicated and more challenging for them. Turkey's legislature, which is to calculate the percentage of disability, made it harder for them to get any disability benefit because at least 40% of the bodily function must be proven by physicians' committee reports. Therefore, the people who are less than 40% are not considered disabled, which makes him or her non-disabled in everyday life. To bring an end to injustice against people with disability in Turkey and to have an opportunity for active inclusion in public life is a change that has to happen immediately. So, how do we begin to raise awareness about this issue? To do that first, we should admit and acknowledge ignorance. What I mean by that is, December 3rd is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. But how many of us actually spend the day with disabled person or celebrate it like it was Black Friday, Valentine's Day, Columbus Day, Halloween or Thanksgiving? Even most of us knows the April Fool's Day date than the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. How many of us see affordable stores to luxury brands that make discounts for disabled people on December 3rd, like in another special day? I guess not many of us. Please, we have to be more aware of this discrimination and a change that has to happen immediately. Mr. Yilmaz mentioned this in our interview, and hearing that completely shocked me because I was also unaware of that too. He said that it is not for the discount we didn't get on that day, but it is the disregard we get on that day. He continues by saying that it is so sad that people give little attention to these days, but more on other days. They are so eager not to see the struggle and the discrimination we get. He also said that we are hearing the news on that day. People say we are here for you. We are going to get this through with you. Don't feel lonely and stuff, but the next day everything is still the same. Not a single change happened. And it is very heartbreaking to notice this every year. Overall, we talked about visually impaired people struggling in public and their feeling of isolation. And now it is time to understand a better way of approaching blind person respectfully in public. Instead of dragging them or before touching them, let the person know by using your voice that you are there to help, or you just approach next to him or her. If they don't want to get help, then don't. Please, if you continuously ask them even though you want to help them, you will just make them uncomfortable. Although blind people can need help in some situations, don't always assume that they are incapable because they cannot see. Without their sight, visually impaired individuals learn to do some remarkable things, and they are also more independent than you expect. Don't believe that they require assistance in doing simple activities that you can depend on your eyes. You can make donations to disability rehabilitation centers around you. I just sent you the link that you can see in the chat. By clicking this link, you will get the chance to donate if you want to help blind and visually impaired people across the state and also to their families. I am very much encouraging you to do so. Another issue that I often encounter is that people park their cars on the sidewalk, which is another obstacle for visually impaired people. I know there are some adults here, so if you see anyone park on the sidewalk, please warn them because visually impaired people have memorized their way out their neighbors. If someone parks on their road, they might lose their way, which will make it harder for them to trace back to their road. Consequently, don't be an obstacle for them, as I said at the beginning of my talk. It is our turn to be an ally and fight for more disability rights. Please, don't add more darkness to their world. Be the light that brightens every tunnel of obstacles and struggle they tackle. Thank you.